AVC, Barry Winslow. It's been a long time. Logging on. VC cheers. Got a cold Coke here today. Well, YouTube vinyl community. It has been a really, really long time. It's crazy. And I think I'm probably speaking for a lot of people that have either were in the vinyl community and have since left, or are still out there putting out videos on a regular basis, or maybe you're new to the vinyl community and you don't even know who I am, just because it's been such a long leave of absence. But I think the one thing that can be said about the YouTube vinyl community is that it's a community of people that are beautiful in their own way. They show, each member shows a wonderful collection of music, and it's so unique and fascinating. But I still watch videos. I still have my subscriptions. People that I subscribe to, I watch your videos, and I still watch the YouTube vinyl community. I come back to it sometimes more regularly than others, but I know it's been the longest time since I've made a video. But I just wanted to log on up here from northern Michigan and let everyone know that that I'm still alive. I'm doing great, and I'm still enjoying music, which is what we're all here to talk about and partake in. So I just wanted to log on and say hello, and I guess just do a few things. First of which is just do a quick update on me. I'll make that short since this is more about the music than it is about me, but it's been such a long time. I don't even remember the last time I've made a video. I think it was a few years back now. But I just wanted to let everyone know that there's been a lot of life changes in my life for the good. I'm happily engaged. I've got a beautiful 9.5, almost 10-month-old boy now. My baby boy Graham. He's a beautiful baby. I'm happily engaged. I'm going to be getting married here next fall. Family, friends, everyone's doing great. Life moves fast, and I think that with the pandemic, I know there's that word again, that there was a lot of time for reflection, for introspection, and just to think about what's important in life. And it's one thing that has always come back to me is the love of your friends and family, and having a good group of people that you can reach out to get you through hard times, or just life in general when it does get long. And music. Music's always there. It's always been a friend for all of us, I'm sure, and especially for me. And really that's what I wanted to talk about, is just jump back on, do a quick update. I know it's been a long time. For those members that don't know who I am, or maybe are new to my channel, since it's been such a long time since I've posted a video, I'm Barry. My name obviously on YouTube is Barry Winslow. I've been a collector of music for years and years, a listener of music for years and years. I grew up in a large family that so many beautiful pieces of music have been passed down to me that I've collected and filled in gaps. And I've always just had a love for the media, just for the art form. And I think my first video on the vinyl community was almost 10 years ago. I think it was way back to 2013 that I posted my first video. And I think for those that have stuck with me for the long haul, you've seen how I've grown and how my collection has grown, and my relocations and new jobs, but there's always that constant, which is the music. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First thing I'm going to do is actually talking about my collecting habits and the things that I've been doing recently, and really what that is enjoying the music that I have. I haven't been doing a ton of adding. I have obviously bought some records and added to my collection in terms of volume and different pieces, and that stuff continually happens, maybe not at the rate that it did years and years ago, but I think what's important now is just appreciating and listening to the music that I have on the shelves. I've amassed a collection of music, probably, I don't know, maybe around 1,500 pieces of vinyl in that area. And what I've done now is just started to really go back and listen and appreciate the pieces of music and the pieces of vinyl that are in my collection. And I've actually begun the process the painstakingly long process of cataloging my entire record collection. I'm starting off in a Google spreadsheet, which is really nice because it just saves in the cloud and I can always come back to it when I need to, or when I get a chance to, that is. And then from there, I will be going from the spreadsheet and putting everything up into Discogs, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. I'm about 600 records into my cataloging process. That's one thing that I might go into more into depth, maybe in a new video, is just talking about the process of what I'm doing in terms of cataloging, how I'm organizing the spreadsheet, and what that exactly looks like. But that's one thing that I started working on actually last Christmas, during Christmas break, was just working on cataloging my collection. And what that's done is it's allowed me, as I'm cataloging, to go through and revisit titles that maybe I hadn't touched or listened to in quite some time, and put them back on the table, give them a dust, and just clean them off and appreciate the music. And then also call my collection and go, is this something that I really, do I listen to this often? Do I want to revisit it? Or maybe I want to put it up for sale once I'm done cataloging, and post them up on Discogs, or find a way to hand them off to someone that would listen to them and appreciate them more than I do. So that's another thing that I think is going to be kind of the next step, is culling in the collection and determining, after I clean them and sleeve them and listen to them and give them new inner sleeves and outer sleeves, maybe there's someone that would be listening to this more than I, and they would appreciate it, and just passing on the gift of music to someone else. So that's really what the big extent of my listening and collecting habits, if you will, have been of recent, is just going through and listening to the collection that I've amassed in about my 10 or so years of collecting music. But that being said, I do still collect. I still bring things into the collection. And so what I'll do is I'll just kind of talk about some of the things that I'm listening to, things that I've put on the turntable, things that I maybe pulled out during my cataloging, and I went, I'm going to set that to the side and give it some more time. So I'll talk about those things now. First of which is what is faintly playing in the speakers right now in the background. This is Brian Eno. This is music for films. I believe this is 1980 or somewhere about there. 1978. This is the Editions EG pressing. Just a beautiful, beautiful piece of music. I love Brian Eno. He's a wonderful producer. He's such a great creative mind. Obviously spent some time at Roxy Music, and now has composed and produced so many beautiful pieces of music, ambient music, just relaxing, atmospheric sounds. And I love his body of work. And I felt what would be more appropriate when I'm making a film to put on music for films by Brian Eno. So that's what's playing right now in the background. Some things that I've picked up, like I said, maybe spun, cleaned, listened to, sleeved in the process of cataloging that I set to the side. So first of which, you see a little bit of ring wear there, but this is Rolling Stones 12x5. I've been looking for a good clean copy of this. The cover isn't all that strong, but the vinyl is actually really clean. This is an original mono pressing from, I believe, 63, 64. Early Stones. I do enjoy the bluesier works of early Rolling Stones, and 12x5 is a great example of that. The title, obviously, 12 songs by 5 guys, so that's where that kind of came through. But this is an original mono pressing, American mono pressing of Rolling Stones 12x5. So great listen there, and a wonderful addition to my Stones collection that I had kind of built up their 70s and into their 80s portion of their career, but a lot of that early bluesy stuff from the 60s. I've really started to take an appreciation to that, and I'm slowly adding that portion of their discography into my collection, and so that was a great addition for that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Taj Mahal, but a beautiful blues guitarist and vocalist, big in the 60s and 70s. This is just a wonderful recorded piece of music here. I do believe this is late 60s, early 70s. This actually features Jesse Ed Davis, a beautiful guitarist, Native American guitarist that actually provided the solo to Dr. My Eyes by Jackson Browne. That was one of his kind of defining moments. But he is featured as the kind of the main guitarist behind and with Taj Mahal on this self-titled album. And so if you don't know of Jesse Ed Davis or Taj Mahal, check both of them out. But this is a beautiful bluesy, rootsy recording from the late 60s, early 70s that I would most definitely recommend you try to find. This is a stereo release. I do believe this is a first or second pressing. I picked this up for about $8-10. You can find it. It's getting a little bit harder to find, but if you do end up finding a copy somewhere, pick it up, give it a good clean, and enjoy it because it's a great listen. Jesse Ed Davis is just a fabulous guitar player, and he's got stuff that he's released in solo too that's just fabulous that you should most definitely check out. Ry Cooder is also on this. Just some really great, strong blues musicians are featured on this record, and it's a wonderful listen. So, self-titled Taj Mahal. Great record. This next one here is actually Fela Kuti. This is a reissue, but I do love African music, and Fela Kuti as a saxophonist is just a wonderful musician and brought so much passion and energy into African music and brought that really into African roots and rock and roll music into the 70s. This is No Acrament, one of his most beloved works, and it's just fabulous. It was originally released in 1977. This is a reissue. This is a 2017 reissue. No Acrament by Fela Kuti. If you do enjoy African music, roots music, music with just a lot of power and energy, great rhythm section, great guitar playing, horn section. This stuff will definitely get you up on your feet and have you dancing around. A lot of excitement, and it's wonderfully produced. Fela Kuti, No Acrament. Highly recommended. This next record is by an artist that wasn't terribly prolific and didn't have a huge following in terms of his solo career, but he did play with wonderful folk rock bands and folk bands back in the late 60s and early 70s. He played with the Incredible String Band with Fairport Convention and even did some stuff with John Cale. His name is Mike Heron. This is Smiling Men with Bad Reputations. I'm not sure if you can see that here. A really cool listen. I think for this is on the Elektra label. Not exactly sure when it was released. In the 70s, I'm sure. But just a wonderful folk rock, a folk rock kind of a sound, but very experimental. Some psychedelic and psych parts in here as well. A beautiful voice, definitely a main member of the Incredible String Band, and was featured early on as kind of a session musician for Fairport Convention. But Mike Heron, harder to find. I believe this is early 70s. It's highly regarded and not terribly easy to find. But if you're digging into that whole folk, Americana folk rock, electric folk realm, Steel Eye Span and Fairport Convention, Incredible String Band, so many wonderful acts like that. Check out Mike Heron, Mikeheron. Smiling Men with Bad Reputations. This was a fun listen. There's some, you can kind of see some of the members of the band there as well. Roots, psych, folk, rock. Just a wonderful mixture of excellent genres that make for a really fun listen. Sometimes things in that era and especially in that realm of music can get a little bit, I guess you could say kind of jangly or kind of miss the point, the roots of the music, where this is an exception. It's a really wonderfully produced and recorded album. and it sounds fantastic. So Mike Heron, Smiling Men with Bad Reputations. Sorry for the glare. A great release on the Elektra label. Seek it out and give it a spin. It's very good. Next up, this is a record from the 80s, 1983, on the Island label. This is Twang Bar King by an artist by the name of Adrian Belew, a really interesting guitarist. Was a member of King Crimson, kind of in their late 70s, early 80s period. And a wonderful voice and a really interesting tone in terms of his guitar. Obviously, the name of this is Twang Bar King. He's got an interesting twang and a kind of a industrial and screechy and electronic tone to his sound that is so unique and so Adrian Belew. There's no one that quite sounds like him on the guitar. There are some moments on this that are stronger than others. But I do think that this is worth picking up. And anything kind of in the 70s and 80s period for Adrian Belew is worth seeking out. This one can be had relatively cheap. I believe I got this one for like $8-10. So if you see anything Adrian Belew out there, look him up on AllMusic, check him out on your favorite streaming app or whatever it might be. But go pick up a piece of vinyl and give him a spin. He's very brash at times. He can be quite harsh, but then he can do some really fluid, kind of flowy guitar movements that are very interesting. Like I said, kind of a tone of his own. He's very unique and identifiable. So Adrian Belew, Belew, worth picking up. This is, again, Twang Bar King. Very, very nice. Next up is kind of was kind of a long-lost female folk musician, acoustic folk musician from the 1960s, who in the last, I would say probably 3 to 5 years, has really gained prominence and found a kind of come to a resurgence just with new collecting habits, new pressings, repressings, record store day releases, things of that nature. And I'm so happy to see her work kind of really coming to the light of day that it should have received way back in the day. But this is an artist by the name of Dalton. Just a wonderful, wonderful voice. She can sing like a bird and just a beautiful guitar player. This is 1966 is the name of the album. This is a new reissue. I believe this is on the Delmore Recordings label. This is a 2021 reissue. I just pulled this out and gave it a listen. This is on the, I believe this is on 180 gram. It is. This is on 180 gram clear green Rocky Road vinyl. It's a special edition. And just a really unique voice that should have been heard back in the 60s and for some reason or another was just kind of overlooked. Maybe didn't have the press that they should have received. But she's just wonderful. Dalton, I can't recommend her enough. She's got another album right around the same time period in the late 60s with a brown album cover. I can't think of the name of it, but if anyone wants to drop a comment down below, it's escaping me right now. But this is the 1966 album, and it's just a wonderful listen. Highly recommended. Check her out, Dalton. Hard to find originals, and if you do, you're going to pay a pretty penny. But there are reissues out there like this one that are worth grabbing. You know, if you've got $20, $25, you can come across her and worth picking up and seeking out. Dalton, this is 1966. Added in a little bit to my Santana collection. This next album here is an album that I think is unjustly overlooked in his career, and I do think it's one of his best recorded works, and I think it rivals some of his more popular releases. This is Caravanserai by Santana. What an amazing piece of guitar recorded music. I mean, this is super, Santana. There's no other way to describe it. It's so in your face. At times it's melodic, Eastern and African tendencies. Just such a great gifted guitarist, as we all know. But if you ever see a copy of Caravanserai, I do believe this is late 70s. Pick it up. I do think it's one of his better works. He was on it. I know that there are times where he can get a little bit kind of lost in his own skill, if you will. And I think that this is a moment in his career where he was truly firing on all cylinders and everything was clicking. And the guitar work and the solos and the rhythm section, this is just a wonderful listen. I cleaned this off and was just truly impressed, not only by the musicianship, but just the way that it filled my listening space. Wonderful. Santana, Caravanserai. A beautiful listen, and I highly recommend that. Let's see here. Next up, this is a great group that was kind of prominent in the power pop rock scene, rock and roll scene of the 60s. Competed with the likes of the Byrds, the Beatles, the Doors, and just a great band that I don't think got the recognition that they should have. This is the Beau Brummels. I've collected and through the years have come across quite a few of their works. This is the most recent that I picked up of theirs. This is Beau Brummels 66. Obviously released in 66 there. This is a stereo recording on the Warner Brothers label. I think I picked this up for like $5 or $6. It took a while to find it. I don't think it's one of their stronger efforts. I think if you're gonna go after a Beau Brummels album, look for the album Triangle. That's just a wonderful release, and as is an album they kind of were moving into more of the country rock realm of kind of like similar to the Byrds, Sweethearts of the Rodeo. They did an album that in 1968 that was called Bradley's Barn, and Triangle and Bradley's Barn I think are their two defining albums of their career. But this is also has some great moments on it. It's a little earlier, it's a little bit more poppy, if you will, but a great release nonetheless. And Sal Valentino is the lead singer, and they're just a wonderful band. West Coast America, 60s, and worth seeking out. The Beau Brummels. This is the Beau Brummels 66. Next up, we kind of talked about Brian Eno earlier. Was no longer in this band at this time, but this is Roxy Music, their live album Viva. A really fun live recording, worth listening to. I picked this up, I think it was for like $10-15. I'm not exactly sure. 1976 is the release here. Obviously Brian Ferry, Andrew McKay, Paul Thompson, Phil Manzanera, they're all on here. John Wetton on bass, a monster bass player. And this is just a wonderful recording, and a great capture, a great moment that captures the strength of Roxy Music as a live band. I know a lot of their stuff was kind of really, they were known for their studio work, and their studio work is just sonically magnificent. But this is a great live release called Viva, and the crowd energy is there. I believe there were a few overdubs in the studio, but this is pretty much a raw live recording, and it's highly recommended. Viva by Roxy Music. This is 1976. Worth picking up. Next up is a record that I've been looking for quite some time. Obviously, everyone who follows my channel knows I'm a pretty big fan of the Beatles, and I certainly love each of the four members, even in their bands previous to the Beatles and their solo work. This is a solo album by Paul McCartney that I was looking for the longest time. This is, excuse me, as I almost dropped the record. This is McCartney 2, I've been looking for this record for the longest time, and I wound up finding an original Japanese pressing with the OBI strip here. This sounds incredible, as should be expected with the Japanese pressing. This is an original 1980 Japanese pressing. I think I got this for $20 at a record sale that I went to here in Upper Michigan not too long ago. This record kind of receives mixed reviews. There are people that are totally blown away by it. There are people that aren't a huge fan of it at all. So it's kind of a divisive recording in terms of the Paul McCartney's following. But I personally love the record, and I think it's something that was totally out of his typical avenue, and he kind of swerved and did something completely different. Very electronic. There was a lot of Moog synth on this. He was playing around in the studio with different pieces of technology at the time and made a record that was totally different in terms of its sound as compared to other records in his catalog. And I think that this is worth picking up. McCartney 2, this is an original Japanese pressing, 1980. Really excited to have this in my collection, and it sounds fabulous. And I guess I'll finish off here with another great artist from, I guess you could say, the 1980s. I think with the recent release, if you will, of Stranger Things, this artist, female artist, has completely skyrocketed in the charts and has found a whole new life in terms of people finding her catalog and beginning to dive in and figure out what she's all about. Obviously, I'm talking about Kate Bush. This is her first record. This is The Kickin' Side. 1977, 77, 78. This is her first release. It's good. I don't think it's her best work, but it is very good. Then her second release here, Lionheart. I also found a copy of Lionheart. These are all originals. She's hard to come by, and I think with her notoriety now, due to Stranger Things, and her streams have skyrocketed on all the different streaming applications and stuff now, which is great for her. I'm happy that she's finally getting some press and some exposure. But yeah, it's turning out that her releases are getting harder to find. And then this is Never Forever, her third release. So I'm really happy to have those in my collection. So anyways, I'm at almost a half hour of me blabbing on, but I just wanted to log on. I've got a new space here, a new house. In the last about 3 years, I've moved. Like I said, I'm happily engaged. I got a beautiful baby boy. So because of that, I am very busy. But I am still logging on. I am still checking out the amazing members of the vinyl community. I'm finding new people every day that are making videos, and I just felt it was a good time to revisit the platform, let everyone know that I'm doing great up here, and like I said, I'm kind of in the process of cataloging and just appreciating the music, appreciating my collection. I think there are times as collectors that we can get lost in the collecting and forget about the listening. And so what I've done is I've kind of gradually slowed, still buy, but I've slowed my buying. And now I'm more appreciating and cleaning and cataloging and preserving and listening to the pieces that are in my collection. And that has proved to be a very awesome and enjoyable experience. So maybe for those who are kind of going through the phase where maybe they are, looking for a little bit of a way to get back into the music, get back into the excitement of the music and of the hobby and of the collecting, is to simply pull stuff off your shelves, dust it off, clean it off, catalog it if you'd like to, and just appreciate your music. That's it from me, logging off. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel below, and I look forward to your comments, and I look forward to logging back on and chatting with the vinyl community soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.